Ladies and gentlemen, some of you have been chess fans for many years. Some of you have been chess fans since 2020. Some of you have been chess fans since 2023. But you know when something incredible happens in some sport and you understand nothing about it, but you can still appreciate the highlight? That is the purpose of today's video. All right? Buckle up. We're going to Romania. Some of you are in Romania right now. The Romanian Chess Championship is going on, and it featured a banger of a game, including a forced checkmate sequence that took 38 moves. I've never seen something like that. Forced mate in 38 moves. Let's check it out. All right. Our protagonists are Gergely Andras Gyul Shabo, and God help me, Nicodim Cosmin Stepanensu. Romanians, your names, Brolic, all right? Don't even get me started. God, my name is 4 letters. The game begins with e4. White is a grandmaster rated 2514. Black is a FIDE master rated 2280. And it's a Caro-Kann advanced variation. Now, obviously, there are 2 lines here. I recommend c5 in my Caro-Kann course. Available at... no, stop. It's in the description, though, if you'd like to check it out. I like c5, but bishop f5 is the main line. Bishop f5 is the main line at many, many levels. And there's a lot of lines here for white. White can play knight f3, e6, bishop e2. This is known as the short variation. And there are many lines here for black. White can also play various positional lines, or white can play what is in my e4 course available at h4. The Tal variation, named after Mikhail Tal, and the idea in and of itself is to trap this bishop. Bishop e4, f3, bishop g6, and h5. That is the idea. That is why you play the move h4. You also play the move h4 because you'd like to create a big attack on this side of the board at some point in the future, and black plays h5, which is the most popular move. However, the move h5 does grant white various dark square possibilities. White plays bishop d3, the main line, take, queen a5 check, and now knight to d2. Black now plays e6, because if black doesn't play e6, white will play e6, and it will be very, very difficult to deal with the position there. So black plays e6. Now this position has been reached many times. In fact, it's been reached so many times, and black actually scores like 60%. So black has equalized in this position. Like, they know what they're doing. By the way, has anybody noticed that the clocks haven't changed? They're supposed to, but they're not changing, so that's... Yikes, Chesscom. Well, I'm gonna hide the clocks then, because seems like they're not useful for today's video. Anyway, this was a 90-minute game, but clearly their time has been running. All right, Chesscom, you don't want to have the clocks working? No problem. Knight f3. Knight h6, castles, knight f5, and this is the entire idea of the black opening. Black now has excellent control of light squares, beautiful light squared structure, and white now plays c4. So white is trying to attack the integrity of the black position. Black plays bishop e7, attacking the pawn on h4, and white plays g3, defending the pawn on h4. Black castles, white plays b3. 2 ideas behind b3: develop the bishop, support the center, support the pawn. You'll notice that the computer hates the move b3. Like before that, it was like, it's equal. Then you play b3. Suddenly the computer's like, wait a minute, I think black is better. Yeah, I mean, in the early stage of this game, black was doing everything right. In fact, black was extremely well prepared. Like, this is the thing about being 2300 at chess in 2023. Your openings, I mean, black has a better understanding of this opening than the person playing with white. And the person playing with white is a grandmaster. Here's the problem. Just because you get a better position in the opening doesn't guarantee you any results, right? Like, you guys know that. You get a course, you watch a video, you get a +5 position, then you hang mate in 1. That's not the opening's fault, it's your fault. So black plays c5, which is the entire idea behind everything black is doing. Black also wants to put the knight here, blow up the center of the board. Very tough position. White plays dc, not a good move. Not a good move. It's minus 1.6. And now black needed to go here, which is a pretty natural recapture. But black decided to take with the queen. Also understandable. The computer really liked black's position after bishop c5. Knight f1. And knight f1 is inviting certain problems. Because if you play d takes c4, the queen is hit, and the queen can't take the bishop, the rook, because it's defended by the bishop, and the queen can't take that because nobody guards the rook. But that was his idea. You see, folks, no brilliant chess game comes without risk. No brilliant chess game comes without the potential of blowing up the kitchen. You don't make something delicious without threatening to set your kitchen on fire. That's absolutely not true, by the way. That is a dog water analogy. However, my point stands, and Mr. Szabo sacrifices his queen to lure the black king out to the edge of the board. However, it's still a very, very complicated position, and there is no checkmate in 38 moves just yet. Why would there be? That would make way too short of a YouTube video, and I would only be able to put like one mid-roll advertisement in it. No, we are going to watch for about 10 more minutes. Knight to e3 played. All right, the idea of knight to e3 is to, of course, remove the only remaining active black piece. And apparently black is not lost here. I can't really understand that because black can't move any pieces. But apparently that's what the computer says. Apparently it has to do with the c-pawn. All right, the only reason that black is not lost is because the c-pawn is such a big asset. Knight e3 played, black plays queen a5 indeed, attacking the rook in the corner. Now white plays knight to g5 check, and the king comes out, and everything's fine. I mean, it looks scary, but there's no threats. Knight g2, look at this move. Queen d8 is not possible, because if you take it, I go check, king here, and check, and I win the queen back. Oh my. Knight g2, and the crazy thing about knight g2, it stops queen e1, and it threatens knight f4 anyway. But black now finds knight takes g3! And the idea is that if you take this, now I can take this, because when you check me, I don't need to go here. I can walk. Oh my god. I can see the king walking out. I walk a lonely road, the only road that I feel like half of you don't even know who Green Day is because you're like 12 years old. So knight takes g3, and it looks like the FM is going to pull up the spectacular upset against Grandmaster Szabo in the Romanian Championship. Except you activated his trap card. Knight f4 check, the king walks out, and now knight... What the... Okay, so the king is on f5. The knight is guarding the rook. Queen e1 check is possible, but it loses because of this. And there's no mate. The king is completely safe. The knight blocks. So queen e1 does not work. What is happening? The only move here for black, apparently, is to sack the knight voluntarily and then play queen e1 and then take. Instead of that, black plays queen c3, which also makes sense. Attacking the rook and then threatening to take the rook and then take the bishop as well. So many arrows. So many arrows, right? Now, white, seeing queen c3 and a hanging rook and a hanging bishop potentially, plays king g2. This dude moves his freaking king. He doesn't even care. He's like, my rook is hanging, but here's the thing. If I go here, he's going to keep harassing me. There might be a chance we repeat moves. Right? And his king is still kind of close to my king. I might get mated. So king g2, go ahead and take my rook. But guess what? You can't take my rook. Because if you take my rook, I have knight d6 check, king e5, knight c4 check, king f5 back, rook f8 check, king g4, f3, and you get mated on the edge of the board. Bang. Boom. So that doesn't work. So knight e4 by black played instead of taking the rook. Rook f8 threatens something on f5. And now in this position, black had to find the absolutely scumbag move, knight c6. The idea of knight c6 is that you give up a full rook to get rid of the blockade and try to win this game. But also, knight c6, double check. King g4, and you're safe. And if knight h6 double check, king e5, knight f7, and it's a repetition of moves. King f5, knight h6. You had to find knight c6, one of the only ideas in the position. Because if you don't, and instead you play king to g4, do you see the bar go sky high? The reason for that is now the move knight h6 is winning. It's mate. Knight h6 is mate in 7 moves. The idea being king h4, knight g6 mate. And if knight h6 here, black has knight d3. That's not even a check. It's not even a check. The point of knight d3 is rook f4 is now mate. Oh my god. Oh my god. Knight d3 is not even a check and you can't even stop mate. If you play king h4, it just delays the inevitable. You know how? Bishop takes so that rook f4 is mate again. Oh my god. I mean, this is so ridiculous. And you know what I mean? You guys are probably enjoying yourselves right now, but there's some like 2% of you watching are like, why is he yelling? He only appeals to Zoomers who need a dopamine fix. That's what they say about you. That's what the haters say about this channel. I yell too much and you're just a Zoomer that needs a dopamine fix. And you know what we say to those people? They're probably just mad because they got checkmated like this before. Folks, in this position, he missed that and he went bishop e3 instead, and the game continued. Knight takes f2, sacrificing the knight in front of the white king. Now knight to d5, giving up the rook in the corner. Did you see that? Stockfish didn't even realize that this was winning after knight to d5. Knight to d5 wins this game. But how? How does knight d5 win the game? I don't understand. What? So what should black have done instead? Looks like it was all losing, but after knight d5, queen a1, may I present to you forced checkmate in 38 moves. Probably sitting there like, what does that even mean? That means the guy's got to vote. No. Forced checkmate in 38 moves altogether. 19 technique. I know we got some chess elitist purists who are like, well, technically, a move in chess is 1 for white and 1 for black. 38 ply. Meaning, white moves, black moves, white moves, black moves, white move. 38 moves. Are you ready? Buckle up. Knight to h6 check. White is down 8 points of material, going on even more than that. Knight h6, if you take rook f4 mate. So king takes h4. Now, bishop f2. Only legal move. King to g5. You go back. Are we repeating moves? No, because now that the pawn is gone, rook f4, king g, double check and mate. So instead of that, king to g6. Now, knight e7. King only move h7. Knight f7. Threatening rook h8 mate. One of the moves in this 4 sequence is not even a check. It's not even a check. The point is that black can give a check, but white just runs. Including those moves, rook h8 is game over. Black needs to play knight c6, sacrificing the rook. The most insane thing is, if you take the rook, I take this. I take this and I win. I win. What? So what is the sequence? Knight f7, knight c6. Where is the win? The win is knight g5. Okay? King h6. And in the game, they repeated moves. So that actually made it a little longer than necessary. So here they actually repeated moves once. They do that so that they get more time on the 40th move, just to think. That move doesn't count for the sequence. So the win is knight g5, king h6, and then knight e6, taking the pawn. King goes back, knight goes back, king goes back. Why did you need to take this pawn? So that the other knight gives a check. King g6, and now that knight can go to h4. King h6, now the other knight goes to f7. The king goes back, they repeat moves one time, and now I take the rook. So, just so you understand, those repetitions were not counted. Right, so if you go through the whole sequence of moves, white repeated moves a couple of times, that was to get a little bit more time on the clock, that is not necessary, rook a8. And now, it makes no difference what you do here. You can give me a check, I'm just gonna move my king. Rook h8 is mate. There is like a million different mates in this position. But the game ends in style. The game ends in the only way imaginable that a game like this can end. The game ends as follows. Pawn to g6, which stops rook h8. But little did black know, rook g8! And now this is mate! Knight takes e5, defends g6. So instead of rook takes g6, in this position, White played rook takes g6, and black resigned, because if you take knight f5 mate, have you ever seen a mate like that? Knights hitting both king escape squares, bishop defending the knight, the king boxed in by his own team. They betrayed the king and got him smothered to death in the corner of the board as the queen stands idly on the other side, unable to partake in neither the attack nor the defense of the black king. What the instant replay? Can we just, what on earth was that game? It was a fist fight. It was two heavyweights with no technique on 3 beers throwing punches at one another. Knight f2, knight d5, queen a1. This dude really said knight h6, king h4, bishop f2, king g5, bishop e3, king g6, knight e7, king h7, knight f7, knight c6. And then he took on e6. He played knight g5, knight f5, knight h4, king h6. And then he took the rook. And then he went here. And then he did this. This was filthy. Absolutely. I mean, oh my God, what was this game? 19 moves in a row for white. 38 moves total. Take a bow. I wish he got up and took a bow. I mean, I don't even, like, what do you even want me to say? Really? Like, just get out of here.